Sean Penn has always been not the thorn in my side, not the stone in my shoe, not the pain in my arse, but I've always wondered, who is Sean Penn? Who are any of these people? And by the way, the same thing goes, believe it or not, the same thing goes to to folks on the right. And what is of interest to me, and what I find fascinating, and this is critical, is not so much what they're saying, but it's when I believe they are without the ability to impart sincerity. It's not that they have I don't care if anybody even knows what they're talking about, whether it's climate change or disease contagions, or that means nothing to me. It's when I suspect, and I'm right, when they're doing this just to promote themselves, an idea, or a shtick. And to prove my point, there are folks on the proverbial right who will use, for example, as a Twitter handle, Jesus, as though this person is a Christian and has to let you know as a part of the package. Conservative, gun-loving, God-fearing, flag-waving Christian, Jesus is Lord, maybe a biblical thing. Okay, fine. That's twaddle. That's nonsense. That's trivial nonsense. You're doing it to convey to me something. I understand what you're doing. It's who you are. I got it. And listen, there's nothing wrong with having a brand, but I'm not believing it. I'm not believing it. I'm not. I believe Pat Boone more than I do these people, because Pat Boone has been saying the same thing since the beginning, but he doesn't bludgeon you and truncheon you with it. All of a sudden people are Christians. But by the same token, here is Sean Penn. And Sean Penn is a stooge, a minion. He is part of he's a kind of like this panjandrum, this dim box, this one who all of a sudden fancies himself as being the spokesman for something. And whenever he's there, I get the impression, my opinion only, that he's working off charges, that they know him, they own him, they know what the dirt is, they own him. Look, I'm not going to in any way suggest for a moment that I am subject to things that other people do not know. How do I say this? I'm not going to confuse what has been gossip, perhaps, or blind gossip, or things that have been kind of rummaging around in the corridors of entertainment. I'm just, but suffice it to say, if 10% of these stories are true, they own him. That's all. Now, here is the issue, and this is what's most important. Do they count? The answer is not really. There's always been people who have been utilizing their position sometimes for a number of reasons. Maybe to help, maybe to do the right thing. And some, let's face it, some folks in the biz do some wonderful things. I think Live Aid was well intended. I don't know who got what money. I have no idea. Hunger is still a big problem. Willie Nelson's Farm Aid. Did the farmers? I don't know. I have no idea. Jerry Lewis. I happen to be recording this on Labor Day. Jerry Lewis was Labor Day. I think he was sincere in that, but it also gave him a lot of, look at me and I'm great. And that's fine, whatever, because listen, beneficence and charity and philanthropy, I think, are things to be proud of. But Sean Penn is absolutely, positively bought and sold and owned a wholly owned subsidiary of the chosen, the anointed. This group of folks who were there ready to be dispatched to provide the official narrative. And what is he saying? What is Sean Penn saying in particular? And this is fascinating when you think about it. He claims that the era of COVID lockdowns and restrictions was a quote mandatory rehearsal for things to come. Well, is that just Sean speaking? Or is that the Stooge speaking? Or the shill? I don't know. He suggested on CNN that COVID restrictions imposed by government were a silver lining because they prepared humanity for things to come. I don't know what that means. Quote, we're going to have to take the silver linings on this. This is a mandatory rehearsal for things to come that we're going to have to deal with as a society. I don't know if this is the psychotic ramblings. I mean, not really psychotic, of just somebody who's full o' shisa. Was he sent out specifically to warn, to earn his keep, work off his charges? I don't know. Let me stop for 1 second because normally I like to just ask you to like what I'm saying, like the video, if you will. Like it doesn't mean you approve of it. You like it, you approve of it just for algorithm purposes. Please subscribe to the channel. Please hit that little bell so you're notified of live streams and new videos. And when it comes to, oh, that's the wrong one. Let me try this one instead. Oh, that's a good one too. But this one's even better. There we go. Go to My Patriot Supply. Because one of the, quote, silver linings, so to speak, I don't even know what that means, but one of the for sure instances and evidence of there being a precursor of things to come, of more droughts, disasters, floods, fires, deprivation, whatever you want to call it, as evidenced and evinced and indicated by that. It's a chance for you to prepare in the event of certain food deprivation, food emergencies. Go to preparedwithlionel.com. It's that simple. This is not complicated. You're smart. That's why you're here. You cannot possibly mimic, replicate, or reproduce what the great people at My Patriot Supply have done with a 25-year shelf life. Preparewithlionel.com. These aren't little MREs. This is hardcore, serious, Armageddon, let's face it, eschatological, end of times food stuff to last, in this particular instance, 90 days or 3 months, $200 off of a 3-month emergency food kit. Go now and do the right thing. You're smart. You know what's going on. Preparewithlionel.com. Go there and do it now, my friends. Preparewithlionel.com. Remember years ago when you used to laugh at food preparation, emergency food storage? Nobody's laughing now. Now I want to say more about this, and this is not regarding Sean Penn, but Hollywood has always been the right hand, so to speak, of what we now call what I call the shadow government. And Hollywood and entertainment has always worked with the government as a subsidiary. In fact, during World War II, in terms of propaganda for good causes, like the destruction of the Axis, we could turn to these wonderful people and Frank Capra and others to produce what really is in effect propaganda, but for a good cause. So there's always been that connection. But what we're seeing right now is the shadow government using a group of people that are bought and sold and owned to say and promote whatever it has to be done. And you know you know the litany. You know the chosen few. You know there's the Oprahs and the Gales and the George Clooney's and the usual, the Spielberg, the usual folks, the Geffins and this. Listen, it's a very profitable venture. Play with the right folks and they play with you. not play with the right folks, and it's another story completely. So what does Sean Penn mean? Nothing. What does his words mean? Nothing. Because it's not Sean Penn. It's the words from the people who are telling Sean Penn what to say. That's what you've got to pay attention to, not just Sean Penn. Because he doesn't say anything unless he clears it with his bosses. Why? Because they own him. Why? Go to my private channel for my thoughts on that one. In any event, dear friends, remember, take everything cum grano salis with a grain of salt. Remember also, preparewithlionel.com, preparewithlionel.com, preparewithlionel.com. You know food emergencies are coming. Thank you so much. Please subscribe to the channel. Hit that little bell to be notified of new videos. And also understand something. Be very suspect when you believe anything anybody says. When you have all of a sudden somebody who's sitting in a cushy life, all of a sudden coming forward, you're asking yourself, why are they doing this? Sometimes it's megalomania. Sometimes it's a delusions of grandeur and relevance. But more often than not, it's because they are ordered and commanded to do this. And the question is then, why? We'll talk again. Thanks so much for watching. Now, please comment as you see fit.